Who do you think the breakaway civilization is? Do you think it's Nazis?
Started with them, from what we understand.
Started there.
I'm sorry, Erica. Why don't you go ahead?
Dark Fleet. There's a lot of breakaway civilizations, but we are in the world as you know it isn't as you know it. It isn't as we were taught. It isn't even, I've watched your show and I've watched other like podcasts about this stuff for years. And you think you have a grasp on how the world works. And it's not any of that. And I'm discovering in the last month that it's almost like we're in a game. I don't want to call it a game because it's not fun and it's real, but it is kind of a game. We've got these controllers who are doing this to probably every single human being on the planet at this time. I don't believe that there's anybody not getting MyLabbed by the military at this time, not getting mind wiped. I believe it's happening to everybody, and I know that's not a popular idea, but I'm pretty sure with what I remember and what I've seen, and I think I told you this before, Rob, but because I can't be mind wiped and because I have all my my multi-dimensional DNA online, so I'm able to consciously, like sitting here talking to you guys, I can also be in my other selves. Does that make sense? Consciously.
Yeah,
Your alters.
Yeah. And not just my alters, but my 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, 8-dimensional soul family. I'm able to consciously be in them. So because of this, like, for example, when the Greys come and abduct people, and I'm abducted too, I have another aspect of myself that's able to see and watch what's happening to me. And that's one of the biggest reasons I think I'm targeted now, is because I know what's going on and they don't want me talking about it.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with how that works, Erica? Because I've learned this on my own, and what I've learned is that as these alters begin to become consciously aware of you and each other, then the programs have to intervene. And what they try to do at this point, they can't stop what's happening. It's a breakdown. Because what they've done, for those who don't understand, is they've fragmented your consciousness using technology and the application of extreme trauma to create a trauma split within your personality, which actually becomes a soul fragment, unlike standard MK Ultra, which just creates an alternate personality.
Like a mind, personality, not another alter.
Exactly. So this part of you becomes a second self, just like you would be on a different timeline, or maybe, like you'd be in like the same timeline, but the past or future. So you're just kind of broken up like that. And when the alters become aware, especially if the original self that's in society is being abused, then they have to do a type of damage control and intervene. So that's what they're doing to me right now, and it's very difficult to navigate this because they still use deception. You have to look for patterns.
Yeah.
And you were talking about making a deal with them. So I can give you an example with me. They got me to the point where I couldn't work. They made me sick for a long period of time. And then it gets to the point where, I can't continue to support myself. And I'm waking up. And like you were saying, there's other parts of yourself. Now you're able to communicate with those other non-hijacked aspects of yourself. So, and it's like we're a consciousness network, and each node is an individual self experiencing a particular life experience.
Yeah.
And it's all happening simultaneously, past, present, and future. So you're this massive consciousness network that's your higher self. So those other parts of you are trying to get through. In my case, I'm not having what you're having, but to a lesser degree, I'm getting internal information. And it's been going on since I was probably, I'd say, my late teens, but I wasn't aware of it. It was like a gradual thing, then it accelerated to the point where they interrogated me with the V2K, you know, and they wanted to know if I was consciousness of it. I mean, if I was conscious of what I was doing, like you are, they were worried about that, but I wasn't. It was a subconscious thing that was taking place, and I would instantly know things, and that would upset them, and I'd get shit right on the spot for it. So, so I understand what you're saying. I don't have really a point here, but I just wanted to see if you could elaborate on that a little bit and just kind of expand. I want to just find a spot in here if you can remember, or just ask me and I'll pick one. If you want to go into the multidimensional self aspect of this, we can talk about that for a little bit. But what I would really like to know is what the response is from these handlers as this is going on, and how do they respond to you, and what tactics were they using as far as leveraging into a deal? Because what will happen is, and I'll stop after this so you can go, it's that they will try other means of controlling you, and then when it comes down to it, then you go into what I would call the negotiation phase, which is very dangerous because, you know, they're liars. So you have to be very careful in what you go into, what you agree to do, because a lot of times they're not going to reciprocate on their end. So if they promise,
they never do.
Whatever, it's only in rare circumstances that you can leverage yourself into a better spot. But from my experience, what you're leveraging yourself into is just survival. It's the bare necessities. It's like, you'll let me work now. You'll, you know, let me exist. But at the same time, I'm not going to get any comfort, and it's going to be abusive nonetheless. That's
what they're doing with me. We'll let you exist. You can't make any money. We're not going to let any of your technology work. We're going to wipe you every time you have a chance to like make a difference. They really, gosh, I had so many ideas about what you're talking about. When I discovered about my multidimensional self, I was at a conference. I think it was in 2019 at Ventura Beach, and it was a disclosure conference. I think that was the last one Corey Good did when he had all those bodyguards. But it was late at night, and I was abducted along with everyone else in the hotel. And I remembered that one. And I thought I was dreaming. I thought it was just a bad dream that I was in a room with all of these people that I was at a conference with. And then in 2020, I was at another conference in North Carolina. And I witnessed them. And it was military, but I think it was a Dark Fleet or a military craft. They were using the gray drones. But I could name people that all three of us know who were abducted onto this ship with me. And we were completely
Wait, Matthew Morian's in the audience, Erica. He says he was at the conference with you, by the way. If you remember, I don't know.
I wonder if, I remember him being at both. He was at both. I wonder
he goes to a lot of conferences. They do a lot of like psychic stuff at conferences and stuff. He and his wife, yeah. That's so interesting.
I just couldn't figure out. And the last big time I was MyLab, I was in the book group with Jackie Kenner's book group. We were writing our books, and I didn't even remember who I was or why they were. I didn't even know why they were targeting me when I published my book. I still didn't know. But I think it was a week before I was last on your show, Rob. I was abducted, and this was a military agency. And they had 3 individuals in that book group in this room, and they had given us a shot in our neck, a drug, and they were yelling at us, and they had collected all of our books onto this place, and they were basically just, there's not really a reason to do this but to make you feel like shit. And I woke up that morning just sick and crying, and I was crying all day. I was drugged. And I tried to reach out to 2 other people that I saw there, but they probably just thought I was crazy. It's frustrating for me when I know that there's people that I can talk to and I know they're being abducted, and I know I could help with it, or like make their life a little bit easier, saying, hey, that's not you, that's not your fault. If you feel like shit today, you know, just hang in there. But I can't.
Yeah. Do you think it's to stop? You guys think it's like to stop the awakening that's happening in a larger sense?
I think
That
it's
they're doing
all of the above, like everything that you guys mentioned. They don't want us to wake up. They don't want us talking about our personal experiences, because then we'll wake others up. They don't want certain people that are in, you know, part of all the agencies. You know, most of the agencies I still work for. They're doing it for every reason, for all the reasons that you could think of. And they do have the money and the manpower.
Well, yeah, they don't even need the money, because they have the manpower, and that comes from clones, that comes from alters, just like the Greys are used, which kind of brings me to something. Yeah, you were saying, Rob, about the awakening, and I've become a skeptic on the awakening thing. I know that the people like us are waking up to what's happening to us, and of course, public's waking up because they're overall. The surface government programs are so tyrannical, so in your face, and so transparent now that most people are going to wake up to it. The problem is that they've already engineered society to make it very discouraging to do anything about it. And they've also picked out people already to target who were going to do something. And they use looking glass technology to analyze a person. They'll profile them, they'll look in the future, they'll see what they may do, and then they'll put them on the targeting list because of what they see. And so what they've done is, and I've said this before, I don't know if I've said it on your podcast, Rob, yet, but they stopped a global revolution without firing a shot by taking out key actors that posed a threat. You also have an extraterrestrial prison system going on here. So they'll take people from other planets that they either captured in warfare, or it was a social thing, or a criminal act to the government, or whatever it may have been, and they'll put them here under a mind wipe, and then they automatically are in the programs, or they're in a reserve status. The reserve status meaning that, they may talk to God, they may have spiritual experiences, but they're not actively abducted, but they're often used for soul retrievals where their consciousness is accessed, and they can appear as an angel at a car crash, to guide people into the tunnel of light, or to get people like who have passed on but are still here, and they need to be herded into the tunnel for recycling, or to send them to this afterlife that people refer to when they have near-death experiences, which is, I find, very suspect, because it doesn't make sense. There's someone controlling the access there's someone standing between them and us, and they're making it appear like when we die that it's permanent. And I don't believe that we have open access to the spirit world. I think it's part of the simulation itself, and I think we're locked into it, and there's nested levels of it. And it isn't just human souls that are here, or ET souls. You have parasitic beings that are locked up here as well and utilized in programs. So we're getting the full shit show.
Yeah. Mark, so many more people are talking about the soul trap and the death traps, Nate. Like, Mark from Forever Conscious Research Channel, he's devoted a whole channel to it, but he's more on like the spiritual side. But then the Farsight Institute remote viewed the death traps. You talk about it from a MyLab perspective. Like, so I would think that if all these people are coming to this conclusion, that there's something to it. You know what I mean? I think it's more than just a theory.
Erica, are you aware of what happens when they come to extract us at the end of our life? Because we all have a predetermined end. It may vary, it may change, but they're going to retain their personnel. They're going to retain their assets when they die. So are you familiar with what they do?
No, I didn't hear about that yet.
Okay, well, I was going to do a podcast on my own channel. I'm going to do one here with Rob, and from what I can gather from just examining evidence and actually remembering things internally, like I described earlier, is that, and also I have a friend who, from what I understand, we haven't talked about this completely, just a little bit. You know, she may have been on one of these missions, or one or more of them, for My Lab soul retrievals. So what they do is they'll take assets in the program, alters of people in society, and they'll put them on a mission, and they'll be using the cloaked craft that the Farsight Institute is filming in infrared and other light spectrums, and others are doing that too. They'll be in those craft that are present constantly in the atmosphere, and they're on call. And what they do is they come and they get you. So they'll come and stop your heart, or they'll show up at the point of an accident. I got that gnat back in here. Or maybe a point of a suicide. And then what they do is they will pull you out like a tractor beam. And I had an experience when I was 15 years old. I don't know how much, I think I've really talked about it much here, but I had an artificially induced OBE because I had shown interest in it, and I purchased a book about how to have them. And I was having some limited success by initiating a lucid, sort of like a dream experience. And I would try to get out that way, was one of the techniques. The other was a positive affirmation. Like every day you say, when I go to bed tonight, I'm going to have a lucid dream, I'm going to have an OBE, and so forth. I can never do that because they were keeping it from happening. But once I got interested in it, they induced one and pulled me out of my body and demonstrated to me that I had no control over what I was doing. And when I wanted to go up through the ceiling, they put me into the mattress, inside the mattress, and it freaked me out. And then I went right back into my body, and there was a big surge of energy, a crackling sound, and I heard computer sounds. That was added in there because they could have kept that out, but it was added in there. So later I figured out that they could pull me in and out of my body at will with technology, and I couldn't do anything about it. So the real big question is now I know, well, it's not confirmed because I'm still here, but one of my alters came through and explained to me that there's a point in time from the termination or the stopping of your heart to the point where they've locked onto you that you can escape. But the problem is that the people who get caught aren't aware of this. Either number one, they're not aware of this, or they're very disoriented from what just happened to them. It could be an impact event, a car crash. They could actually be put into an altered state prior to stopping their heart with the tech and then pulled out that way. So it makes it even increasingly difficult the more you look at what they could possibly do in regard to getting out. That's some of the stuff that I know. And I need other people to help out with this and try to put this together into a coherent picture so that people have some tools and resources when this happens, because it's going to happen to every single one of us. It isn't, in fact, it isn't a matter of just turning around and not going into the light and flying away. That isn't necessarily the case with people like us. And I don't believe it's fully the case with any regular person because, like I said, they're on a reserve status. They don't want anybody to get out of here. So they're going to have different versions. They're going to have different types of ways of keeping you in. Traps that appear to be your loved ones, your dog, whatever it happens to be. They're going to use that. And in the book, I think it was a book by Truman Cash, and I think it was The Programming of the Planet. I don't know if it's the Eye of Rob. I think it was The Programming of the Planet. And he had a memory regression. He thought it was around the time of Atlantis or back in that period. And he was out of body and free from his body and within the matrix itself, existing as a ghost. He and other people, and they were trying to avoid these traps. And he was sucked in because he saw a male and a female on the ground having sex, and he wanted to go into the male body to experience the orgasm. That was a trap. And what that was a spacecraft that was either in the Earth's atmosphere or just outside of it. And he got pulled into it. He was implanted into a clone of what looked like a gray and put to work doing the same exact work of soul trapping.
Oh my gosh. I actually have, sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Go ahead, Erica. It's okay.
I have too much information. I don't know which agency this was, but I actually have memories of being in this life and being taken out and used to do some of the things that you were just talking about to other people.
Yeah.
Like they've used me for that. And yes, we are in a hell realm game. We just are, but it doesn't have to be that way. You're talking about, Nathan, you were talking about the soul trap and all of that. I believe with my whole heart at this point that if you do the work now, the inner work, and it's a lot of work, it really is. If you do the inner work and you heal yourself and you don't have anything that they can use against you, because they will use your guilt, shame, anger, altars, vices, addictions, love bites. If you know who you are and you've worked out all of your traumas, all of the things that trigger you, I've spent the last 3 years pulling in my thousands of altars that were split from me through violence, pulling them in so that I could be whole. This is how I'm ensuring for myself that this shit that's going on is not going to happen to me. Because if I have all of this together in me, then I can't be tricked. I can't be lied to. Because, yeah, they'll lie to you. So that's kind of like when I'm not all scrambled, I'm sure it'll make better sense. But I believe that is our way out to do the inner work. And I mean, really, really look at yourself. If you're lying to yourself about anything, they still have control over you. Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying?
Perfect sense. That's exactly right. But that prepares you for the rest of it. But there's still all of this other stuff. At least that gives you, but without what you just said, there wouldn't be any means of getting out. There wouldn't even be a recognition of being stuck here, because they could use any of those things to keep you thinking, hey, I'm going to just get out because I'm evolved. I've done the work in past lifetimes. And, I'm a highly evolved being, and other people are trapped here, but not me. Now that's another deception right there.
That's a trick. Yeah. I see that all over.
It plays on your ego and your indifference to other people, apathy, a lot of negative stuff there that they can really work with you on. Anger is another good one too. I mean, you could be very bitter and upset, and they'll use that against you in each and every day in your whole life. But as far as getting out of the matrix, yeah, everything you said makes perfect sense. It was very well put, by the way. So,
do you guys think there's any way we can get out of here? Like, do you think, like, if I die, say I die like in 3-4 months, or if I die, is there any way I'm getting out of here? Or is it just like a guaranteed reincarnation, do you think, for all of us? Is it? I mean,
it depends on it's not like a all or nothing. It depends on you. It depends on your soul. It depends on everything.
Because I know what I want. I want to see what else is out there. Because I feel like I've been here a lot of times, and now I finally figured it out. And I want to take my memories with me. Like I want to take my memory wherever I go next. I want to take my memories with me.
And that's something that is part of your soul has access to everything.
In a Akashic record.
Yeah.
Erica, have you ever gotten the handler speech where they tell you, like, look, your life can be a lot better if you just give up that fight with us? And what they mean is that the part of you that seeks to get out of this, the part of you that's connected to what's outside of this, the part of you that resents being used like this and being traumatized and having your loved ones taken from you lifetime after lifetime, and your real loved ones, the ones that you've been with for who knows how long, outside this whole planet, outside this system, those people. So, damn it, it's, they're actually messing with you. You really brought some shitheads with you, Erica. So, what am I trying to say here? Damn it, I'm sorry.
They took yours too. No, I know. They're just taking what I want to talk about right out.
All right, so what was I saying, Rob? Did they just get you, or can you throw a hint out?
No, I was just going through some of the comments. But yeah, I don't know. Seeing if we have any good comments here.
Yeah, before they take their comments and wipe them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nathan. I know it's so frustrating. They make you look so dumb and so airheaded, and I'm not like I know what I want to talk about, but right now I'm just getting hit and hit and hit.
Yeah, it's like arm wrestling. It's like you're constantly it's like you have to grab a hold of it and hold it, and you cannot entertain anything else, because if you do, it's gone.
I did a show with Kimberly McGeorge, and both of us got severe ear ringing, and then they tried to give me a heart attack on screen, and we had to just stop because she was out of her body and I felt like I was dying. So
yeah, I'm sorry, that's another tactic that they do. I was trying to say it, and I think this is correct, is that it's who you are, how you're being used. And if I'm wrong about this, and I'm elaborating on something I said prior to what I was just saying, I apologize. But Rob had a question, at least I don't know if that was the last one or the one before that, but he wanted to know, like, damn it, I don't even remember his question.
He wanted to know if he died in a few months, if he would be able to get out.
Right. And then what it comes down to is it's like, are you an asset? If you are, it puts you in a whole separate category. Are you a reserve asset? And then it goes from there, and apparently, everybody here is likely from someplace else. There could be people here that were born here, but I really don't know. We really don't know that. And for all
the people like in our core group are all starseeds then? Like we're all like from somewhere else? Like the people that watch this show and us and like that we're all
anybody who watches this show is going to be a starseed, or
at least aware of it. They're sensitive to the information.
Or they wouldn't be watching it, because if you're not, that's just how it works. I mean, if you're interested in this, it's
we all get along for home, like that we don't want to be here anymore, that we want to be somewhere else. Because I know I get that. I feel like I just want to be somewhere else. Like sometimes this earth is just too much, and I don't want to play the victim. I'm just like,
it's a hell realm. It's not. It's okay to say this place sucks. It really does.
It's not normal. It's what I call it is a trans-dimensional AI planetary consciousness simulation, a nested augmented reality that's a spiritual prison and inside a quantum quarantine. That's how I would define it.
But we won't be able to get out.
Let me remember all that.
What are the virtual temple complexes, Nate? Like, what's that? Like, that's like the...
Well, that touches upon what we started talking about, which was how they create a spiritual deception and distract you from realizing that you're in the programs, or you're in a prison system. And so the virtual temple complex, if we go back and if we rewind to the beginning of the occupation here, when they took over, they basically mind wiped the population through a cataclysm. For what I can understand, it would only make sense. This is secondhand information. I don't have this. I mean, I feel it intuitively, like they did something where, because I know that they mind wiped the population through end times cataclysmic type events. So you can wipe out either a regional area or the whole planet and reset everybody back. So that includes people dying and then being reincarnated back on the planet and increasing the population under amnesia. So that's a collective mind wipe, and you have the individual mind wipe. The virtual temple complexes are based on what happens after the cataclysmic event, when they come back and they restructure society and they build these megalithic temples, pyramids, and things. They put them on ley lines because they create all mind-altering effects and physiological effects in the initiates. You can feel it in the atmosphere. I have a memory of the pyramid producing energy that was mind-altering. It made you feel euphoric. It made you feel like there was something of great importance within, and you could, when you're in and around the whole ceremonial temple complex of the pyramids in Egypt, back when they were active, you felt it. At night, the pyramids would actually produce light, and they would glow like they were gold on the night sky. So those are the ancient temple complexes. They're designed for social engineering and social and spiritual suppression. They suppress people's spiritual development. They hijack a society, just like they hijack an individual into programs. Would you like to talk about any of that? It's up to you. I mean, whatever you're comfortable with.
That's too. For 50 years, I didn't realize that my own mother was my handler. That's just the hardest thing for me. It's so hard to even talk about. It's awkward, but
I think I know what you're talking about. It sounds familiar, honestly, when I think about my situation. But yeah, like
I had to lie to myself because I wanted to be a good daughter. I wanted to be supportive of my mother. I wanted to. I don't know why I was lying to myself, but when I wrote my book and I found all my journals, I had all these memories of things that my mother's been trying to kill me for 50 years. She's not my friend, and yet I wanted to fit in so bad and be a good human being per the standards of society, that I didn't see that the people closest to me were the ones that were doing me the most damage.
Well, I have a story to tell you guys. The other day I went to a Trump rally with my friend. He's real awake, but he's more into like socio-political issues. You could say he's like a MAGA person,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't know about a lot of the stuff that we talk about, but so we were in the car and we were on our way there, and he started asking me about target individuals and my labs and an alien abduction and all this stuff. And he was starting to it was starting to get out of control. He started asking me really repetitiously. And then he started asking he was mocking or making fun. Then he started it was starting to get to a point where it was insane. And I said, dude, you're acting like a handler. This is insane behavior. I was like, what's wrong with you? It took me to say that for him to stop, it was just really weird.
They can do that remotely. They can, I don't know what the technology is yet. When I find words for it, I'll talk about it.
He's my best friend. He's my best friend.
It's the closest person to you. It's always the closest person to you.
So he might not even be aware that he's doing that. They could
because they can, if he's not in his body and he's not focused and he doesn't know who he is, and there's a weaknesses they can use against him, they can jump him because he's not in his body and make him say things to you that are crazy and make you uncomfortable. And then they'll jump out of him and he won't know what the fuck he won't know what he just did, He won't remember. But you're stuck there and you're like, oh my God, because you don't remember, you don't forget that happened.
That's exactly how it feels too, It was,
and now you'll be wondering, when's he going to do that again?
Right, and there's a specific energy signature that usually comes through when that's taking place.
Yes, there is.
And it's what I can, when I've seen it, I associate it. Depends on the person, though, but because there's different flavors of this energy. But the one that really gets you is the one that you identify with the programs itself. Like you see somebody acting out, and they're going off, they're right in front of you, but it's just you get the psychic impression. Sometimes you even see things in your head that like kids in cages was something I saw with somebody who was having an anger bout, an anger fit. But it was just, that energy. And it's that out of control MyLab energy that they put in that, when they have the best way to describe it. It's that assassin energy. I don't know if you've tapped into that side of yourself.
I call it a fury. Yeah. If you're a fury, you're like a storm. You're just
right. There's nothing else there. It's pretty much empty. It's like, the Hellraiser, Pinhead said he's exquisitely empty. So it's like that, but it's nothing exquisite about it. It's rather disgusting. And it's programmed at rage. There's nothing else there. And it comes out of people and they lose control over it. And that's also a good point though, because people in this community, and I've said it before, and I'm a victim of it myself. I can't always do it, but you have to forgive one another when they act out of character and they hurt you or say something that offends you. or you may not even know the person, and you may just suddenly feel that you can't stand them for some reason. All these things aren't logical, and you have to look at yourself and know yourself and say, what's gotten into me? What are they doing to me?
Right. Not instead of saying, oh, they're bad, they're evil, they're this, they're that. No. Right. Why are you triggered by this person? Why are you so? We have to look at ourselves. We have to do the inner work. That's really all of the stuff that we're talking about. If we all stay in our bodies 100% of the time, grounded, you know who you are, you're working on your triggers and traumas, this shit can't happen. There's no other way that I see that this can heal unless each one of us looks at ourselves. Why do I feel this way? Why does that bother me? What is this stemming from? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I wanted to say, do you feel like the pressure's off from this mind wiping shit? How about you, Rob? Because I feel a lot less affected by it. It's like
all of a sudden I feel free. All of a sudden, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if this is the case, but when three people come together and they put up a unified resistance to that, eventually I think you can power yourself through it. Either they give up or it's just not effective as it was. And so I don't know.
It does. It takes 2 or 3 people coming together and focusing, like really focusing on it. Like all 3 of us were like, we're just going to get through. And we're getting through. I mean, it wasn't as smooth as we wanted it, but
yeah, it's a lot better now, though. So now that we're doing a little better,
I was going to say something.
Well, not quite perfect yet, but what would you like to talk about now that we have a little bit more clarity of thought? Is there anything, really any hot button topics, Eric, or anything?
Well, I also, we were just talking about people being jumped, and right. We are also in a plane of existence where we've got a spiritual war going on, and this is something that I see physically. We've got the 4th dimensional. Okay, I'm going to say something. When I was with Aquino and he was using me for dark rituals and to like do things, I learned that the SRA, the Satanic Ritual Abuse, is also something that certain military agencies use demons and archon entities to keep people's altars separate so that they do not integrate with that individual. For example, I remember, this is hard to talk about. I remember being split, and I remember like each of my altars had its own archon entity attached to it so that I would never integrate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The way I said it? Mm-hmm. So that's something that nobody talks about.
No, that's the first time I've heard of it, but it does not surprise me. So sorry for interrupting.
So yeah, to me, military and the satanic ritual abuse go hand in hand. And I'm not talking about military. I'm talking about the covert ones we're referring to, and the agencies.
Right.
But I had to clear myself to be able to see clearly and to be able to know what was going on. I had to remove hundreds of archon entities from different parts of my body that were placed there to keep me from integrating and becoming whole. And I want to share that with people, because whether you believe it or not, it doesn't even matter if you don't believe in demons or archons or interdimensional things, because they're real. They believe in you. They believe in you, yeah. And they're the ones that are, really causing a lot of havoc. It's not just the military using technology. It's technology mixed with these negative spirits. And that's only possible because we're not grounded. We're not in our body. And I mean, really, really being in your body 100%. Because if you're not in your body 100%, something else is going to be, and then you're fucked. The military can use you. The archons can control you. Sorry, I keep saying the F word.
That's
No
okay.
Rob does it all the time. Potty mouth. Right, Rob? Still
We
monitoring.
people say like over and over again. I think we're okay with it because people swear during shows. I mean, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you're allowed to swear if it's towards Donald Trump on YouTube, but
Oh yeah,
thinking about the opposite side.
Brewster makes a good point. She says they want to ramp it up with the transhumanism. That's a good point. We got to watch where we go with that because they're doing another trans thing that I think is leading to the transhumanism. Remember, you were talking about that a little bit, Nate.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's something I'd rather leave that for another show. But yeah, they are transhumanism, but they've taken it to a level that's, to a level where it goes beyond helping somebody with gender dysphoria. It becomes a wedge issue. It becomes a population reduction strategy. It's weaponized like everything else that they do.
Everything is weaponized. Everything.
And if you're living in a prison planet, I'm sorry, I just want to make one last point real quick as far as the gender dysphoria goes. If you're living on a prison planet, they're not going to necessarily take your preference in mind when they put you into a body, so that personality can bleed through, causing gender dysphoria. You've also got alters that they actually did it to me. I had a year of it that they put me through. It was a female alter they were blending personality traits with. It was just for punishment and just to give me something to deal with. So I haven't, I have personal experience with what that's like for about a 12-month period, unfortunately, from what I've been through. But so that can happen with alters. It can happen with mental illness and trauma-induced alters like multiple personality disorder. Of course, that's something that's, but that's not what we're really dealing with the trans issue. So you've also got chemicals that are in the environment that we're putting in there, and suburban runoffs affecting aquatic species. If it's affecting them, why aren't we looking at the root causes of some of these hormonal problems and brain development issues that could be causing this? Not that there's something wrong with people who are trans, but there's a root cause. It's a medical condition. It's a psychological, medical-based condition. Why aren't we looking at it from the perspective that we've always looked at things that are medical and psychological? From the scientific perspective, we should look for the origin of the problem, and then walk it back from there. And but we're not doing that because they know what's causing some of it, and at the very highest level, they know what's causing all of it. There wouldn't be gender dysphoria if we didn't have a prison planet to start with. That's the
putting people in the wrong sex bodies, from the soul trap, plus the poison in the food, the water, the air, the social engineering.
Yeah, the social.
You really have to know. This
contagion.
is, again, it comes down to you really have to know yourself.
That's why I think it's important that we do these shows, because it's important that people know all this stuff. That's the whole point of the whole point of all this, to expose the prison planet and what we're dealing with and try to find a way out. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, "Why are you doing all these shows?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I never really thought about that, but then I just thought about it now, and I guess that's one of the big reasons is to definitely expose all this that's going on, so people know what's really going on."
Yeah, because the world isn't what we thought it was. We were taught, even when you think you have an idea of how this matrix works, it's set up against us, but we can get out. I don't want anyone leaving the show and feeling like they're not going to be able to die and move on, or, there are ways to get out.
The big question is that everybody's going to deal with is when you die and you see that white light and your grandmother comes out of the white light, or your uncle or aunt or your cousin or your brother or sister or your dead lover. I have 2 girlfriends that died now. One died of cancer that, I wasn't with them at the time, but still, if one of them show up, what am I going to act like? Am I going to go towards them to the white light, or will I be able to stand my ground? I don't know. I don't know.
That's why you have to know now. That's why you have to know now. Okay, if you're able to read frequency now, if you're able to use your discernment now, if you learn it now, then when you die, you're not going to be tricked. Like, they can show you your grandma and you can say, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. I'm still going to do what I need to do, no matter what shows up in front of you.
That's a good point. And then Nate, maybe, or one of you guys, do you think do we know where to go once we leave? Like, do we just like turn around and go the other way? And I don't want to end up in some like dark and like, I talked to Liz Cross about this last night. I said, I don't want to end up in some like dark lower astral hell realm. I mean, like, it'd probably be like similar to here. I mean, just like
come right back.
But you wouldn't have to work every day, and you wouldn't have to worry about bills. So healthcare is kind of like just a given. It's not necessary. You won't have to eat either.
I bet they have Obamacare in the lower astral realm.
Well, they also have, denial of letting you out of the prison too. So everybody's waiting to get parole. They don't call it that. It's moving on. It's improving yourself. I wanted to mention something that Erica said. She said something important about what they call shadow work. It's what we're talking about, working on these issues. And the more you do that, the more integrated you come, in a sense, with your body. What she was saying is you're separate from your body. You really separate. You're separated, I think, from what you mean is from your whole. You're not connected, and I don't know how to describe this, but it's like you're not connected properly when you haven't done that work. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, basically, if you're living in your body and you have your idea of, I hate it here, my body hurts, you're not in your body, because obviously you're not going to be in it. Like, I spent most of my life hovering above my body and watching what was going on, because this place was so painful. And like, I was sure that if I came down into my body and grounded, it would hurt 1,000 times more. So I stayed out of my body. But what happened with that? I was abducted more. I was abused more. I was jumped all the time. I made bad decisions because an entity was running my body, not me. It's not worth it. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, you find yourself literally going into a contract or an agreement with somebody who's clearly dishonest, and you lie to yourself and ignore all the signs.
Yeah. That's not really what they mean. They love me.
Yeah, they do all sorts of things like that. I let somebody who I knew for a long time, but I didn't know his true nature, rip me off, nearly ruined my house on a roofing job, and he ripped off the people who worked for him. So they took it out on my roof and caused my entire roof system they put on to fail within a year. The point where all the plywood was rotted and I had mold and dripping water in my crawl space. I went and I had nightmares about it, like it was happening, but I got a new roof. What's wrong? And then one day I went up there and was horrified. It was everything that I saw in my dreams, except for the house was not completely falling down. I was seeing my house fall down, like the roof, and it was like sections of it were impossible to fix. But and
you were getting precognitive dreams, or what do they call those? They call those like pre something dreams. Like it was like a warning.
Every time I got busted or arrested when I was a kid or growing up, or something would happen, I usually would have a premonition of it. But it was never enough time to act on it. That was the thing. It was like the night.
No, you only get it like right before it happens, and no chance to like make a difference. But I know.
Yeah, did you guys ever get that, like, where you're like something's telling, like you go down a dark alley, but I'm just giving an example, but your mind tells you, it's like, don't go down that dark alley, but you're like, no, I'll be okay. And then you go down there and you go with your friends and the police show up and you're like, oh fuck, why did I do this? Now the police are here.
To yourself.
You know what I mean? It's like I had so many of those times where if I would have just listened to myself and turned the other way.
And that's what I'm talking about getting jumped. If you're not doing the inner work, and it comes down to this again and again, that shit can happen. When you're not in your body and grounded, we all have an internal guidance that is 100%, that will completely let us navigate this hellscape and get through okay. But if we're not in our body listening to that guidance, you get hurt, you get messed with.
It takes a long time to be able to seize the moment when you get that, and I'm at that point now where when I get it, I just do it. and I have, and you wind up having like things that happen throughout the day sometimes where it's just like, it's going to happen. So you go ahead and, you do it, and you work your way around a problem. It's just, you learn to use it, and it becomes kind of like a thing that you don't even think about. It's like your heart beating. You just start reacting to these energies, and then you avoid the problems.
It's like, I call it being in my flow. It's
right.
If I stay in that, and I've talked about how my heart feels like a expanded, like a portal, that connection to source. If I make a decision about my day and I'm connected to that source, I'll be okay. I know that anything I do in my day, as long as I'm connected to that, is going to be fine. It's in my flow state. But it's when I am out of that that things will get messed up.
Which is what the handlers are there for, because they'll take you out of that state all the time. Let's see, another topic or point would be.
I've only been away from my handlers for a month now, and I can't tell you how amazing it is.
Well, I got up today and it was like, I said, how long is it going to take before they say something to me? It was an hour and 36 minutes. And every time I thought about it, I could feel an urgency of someone wanting to say something, which is another thing they don't like. They don't like it when you can sense them through the V2K, like they're there and they're paying attention. They don't like that because it's not a two-way system.
That's why I'm extra targeted. That's why I'm extra abused, because when they were using V2K and they were doing all these things, I got them back. Like it was automatically a double way. So I even know the faces of the people who were using the technology. Like I could see all that.
But, and then let's see what else they do. I'm still having a little bit of the cognitive issues right now.
It's coming and going.
Yeah, it's like it's coming back in.
It comes back in when we are discussing subjects that will uplift humanity and actually help humanity to heal. And we have good information. That's when we're going to get hit the hardest.
Right. Yeah, because I definitely don't want that. It's like I had a great idea and it just slipped away.
Yeah.
But hey, if you want to just change it in that perfect memory, you could just say, hey, it's all love and light. These ETs are wonderful. And we're just going through this rough period of time to teach us a lesson. It's all about loving and learning.
I don't agree with that.
You'll have perfect health. You'll be invited to all the conferences. You'll be drinking. What's that stuff called? It's like a laxative drink, kombucha. Yeah, like everybody, you go to an EDM type of thing. You're dancing, you're shitting yourself. It's great. But you're it's artificial reality where you can detox yourself from all the chemicals, and you're doing the health stuff, and you're doing the yoga, and you're doing all the shit, and you're doing Reiki, and you get all wrapped up in all that stuff, and they can pretty much keep everything from you if you're in these programs. If you have the voice of God talking to you saying, you're on a mission from me, and this is what you need to do. Start a YouTube channel and start telling everybody about the Galactic Federation of Light and how great it is. And this is all just a test.
Yeah, we're just testing you to make. Sorry.
It's a school, it's a cosmic school, and and we're all going to graduate one day. No, there's nothing bad here.
That's such bullshit.
Yeah, or if it's bad, it's the reptilians, and it's nothing to do with this benevolent.
Yeah, and it's not. That was what I was talking about. How they have the whole world believing that it's like the Republicans against the Democrats, and in Galactic, they have us blaming ourselves or reptilians, or the Greys, but not the humans that are doing this to us, that were co-opted by those guys. It's just tricks within tricks within tricks.
Yeah, they don't want anybody to know about the military involvement. Right now the military is still investigating these UAPs, and as soon as they figure out what they are, we'll be the first to know. And Lou Elizondo is going to tell us all in his next book anyway, so we're fine. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I agree.
Where's
It's
your
a team court, so let's be devil's advocate. If it's not all good, it's all bad. Where's their soul family or galactic help? Do we have that?
Yes, we do have that. That's the connection that we have to them is in our hearts. It's not external. It's not seeing lights in the sky. We are all connected to our own soul family, our star family, our whatever you want to call it. Whoa, I have orbs in front of me right now.
It's through the
What?
unhygienic aspects of ourself we have those connections, and that's but
And that in keeping that keeping your connection open to that only will guide you through the matrix.
which is hard to do because they're constantly portraying themselves as either, like, I had the fake higher self, I had the fake ET love bite lover. Yeah, I had a lot of it. So I've had the classic shit. But
As far as orbs, some of them are good and some of them are bad. Like, it all depends on the orb. I mean, there are consciousnesses.
Are they human consciousness, or what do you think they are?
They are like when I travel out, I like if somebody would see me, I would look like an orb. If there's a regressive ET or an interdimensional, and I've had these in my room many times, they come in looking like an orb, but the orb acts differently. So I can't really say if they're good or bad. It depends on where they are.
It's like how you resonate with it, right? Like what you feel from it. I guess you're going to get a knowing, right? You'll get a knowing.
You should get a knowing. Yeah. I used to video my room at night with my iPhone, and I would pick up so many orbs, and I have pictures of orbs that are grays, and I have pictures of orbs that are star family. Beautiful, beautiful faces. I'm getting hit. Did you guys hear that?
no, are you getting those the sounds, like the high pitched tones that oscillate and go from one ear to the other?
No, it was a computer voice came on the show, and I guess I heard it through my earphones, but you guys weren't talking.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they do all kinds of stuff. I had a guy, like a V2K guy, claiming to be a super soldier. It was just probably soft sell. And I had a video that I was trying to edit, and I was arguing with him in my head. And then I tried to edit the video, and the file was completely ruined. It was totally corrupted. I think I had a copy of it from what I remember, but I was pretty upset. And he was telling me off and literally said, "I just did that to you. Go F yourself." And something like that was said to me. So I've had him like give me shit, do it, and then tell me they did it right in front of me at the computer.
Holy shit.
The other night I had a MyLab. It was about a week ago. This is the worst one I've had. It was because I was going to get on a show and talk about, I had written out what I wanted to talk about. Big mistake. But they took me, as soon as I fell asleep, I woke up in a military base, and I was alone. I didn't know where I was. I was walking down the hall, and I heard two officers or cadets talking, and I peeked my head in because I didn't know where I was. And they looked at me and they said, "Oh, she's awake and she's snooping again. Let's let her know what we do to people who snoop." They put me in a vehicle, tied my hands behind my back, threw me in the back seat, and drove me out into what looked like the desert around like Las Vegas, or the desert. And they hurt me. And then I'm supposed to wake up from that kind of MyLab. Like that's the level of violence that they're doing lately. Like, so I wanted to ask, sorry, what did you say?
Was it a violent sexual altercation or attack?
Yeah. So I would shut up. Yeah. They use a lot of that. They use a lot of rape.
On male and female, there isn't really women may get it a little bit more, but the men the men get it too.
Oh, I know.
So the children, which that everybody knows that. This is the shit we're dealing with. I mean, this is it. And I was here with Eve Lorgan, and the last show I did with her and James, we were talking about excuse me, we were talking about what's going on in the DUMS, and I basically said that old Egyptian saying, as above so below, because literally they're bringing the crimes that are underground above ground and making it normal in society, and they continue to do it more and more.
It's not okay.
No, it's not. And the sexual stuff, some of the worst, because I mean, one of the things that I've been through, and a lot of people have, and you may have been through it too, Erica, is when they jack up your sex drive and take control over it to the point where you can't even sleep. And then they'll put ideas in your head to get you to do something.
Yeah,
altars.
I had to heal from that stuff. It's so dark. It's so dark. The amount of programs that I remember being in and the amount of things I remember doing in these programs, I've had to do a lot of self-forgiveness. I mean, a lot. And it's easier when you understand how they use you and how they like jack up your hormones. They give you love bites, how they turn you, through torture. But I think the big thing to getting out of this is forgiving yourself, understanding how it works, understanding the big picture. Like, who are you? What is your purpose? Why are you here?